there is another trial that I need to talk about. And you all have been so patient with me when I've admitted that I really was way behind on the Karen Read trial. And this one I'm also very behind on, and I'm a little bit embarrassed because this one's taking place right in my own town. This is here in Atlanta. And this has already been in court since November of 2023. So we're 7 months into this trial. And I've just now heard about what a fucking circus it is. Now, of course, I'm talking about the case of Young Thug, who is a rapper here in Atlanta. And of course, me being a nerdy, old, white suburban woman, I'm really not up to speed on the inner workings of Atlanta's rap culture. But in looking at this and some of the things I've seen this week, I am kind of having to sit here wondering, is this man gonna get a fair trial? Now, it's easy to say that it was this week that shit got really messy, but to be honest with you, this has always been a pretty messy situation. You've got multiple defendants, you've got a ton of different indictments, you've got witnesses who don't want to testify, you've got a main defendant, Young Thug, who has been denied bond 3 times and been kept in jail this entire time because they're afraid if he got out, the judge feels that he might intimidate witnesses who have agreed to testify. It took them 10 months just to seat a jury. So that should have been the first indication that this was gonna be a freaking circus. But the circus ratcheted up this week when the elephants got a hold of a blowtorch and burned the whole fucking tent down. And I'm gonna end up making a series of videos because at the end of the day, I'm going to continue question what the judge is doing, what the prosecution is doing, what is happening with the witnesses. And I just feel like this guy, Young Thug, is not gonna get a fair trial. Now, let me say this too. I believe that anybody is innocent until proven guilty. And the laundry list of things that this guy is charged with, there's some pretty tough stuff here, right? There's gun possession, there's drug possession, there's intent to sell, there is robberies and murders and all of these different things that he might have done for all we know. We don't know that. That's what the trial is about. And I'm not trying to be unfair, but I don't know that you are called Young Thug if you are a choir boy. You would have just gone by the name of choir boy. So there's part of me that thinks that at least some of these things he might have done. And that's what we need to find out at trial. And if he did do these things, of course we would want him to go to jail for the crimes that he is guilty of. Of course we would. But what if he did this and they'll never get him off the streets because the prosecution and the judge have already fucked this up? Or worse, he's innocent of these things and they're trying to railroad him. I don't know which it is yet, and I only give my opinions. I don't know, and I'm not sitting in the jury box. But if you saw the behavior this week, let me just give you a rundown. They've got a witness who agreed to testify who suddenly decides he doesn't want to testify. There's an ex parte meeting where it sounds like they're trying to talk him into testifying, but the defense wasn't invited to that meeting, which is totally against protocol. It was just the judge and the prosecution and the witness. Then that same witness, I believe, fired his attorney, but they didn't notify the court properly. So she's forced to stay there and sort of keep representing him, even though he's like, she's fired. And she's like, I want out. The judge makes her stay for at least through that day, I believe. Then the judge holds the defense attorney in contempt of court. And we're talking criminal contempt of court so that he can sentence him to jail. I am not kidding. This is probably the news headline you saw. Brian Steele, who is the defense attorney representing Young Thug, was held in contempt, and he was told he needed to spend 20 days in the Fulton County prison. Now, what the judge wanted to do was just make him go there on the weekend. So he gave him a sentence of like 10 successive weekends so that he could get his 20 days in because he has to be in court Monday through Friday. Now, even though other attorneys got up there and argued in his case, and by the way, I think they filed an emergency injunction, so he might still be out, but this judge is saying, nope, that's what his sentence is, and they're trying to find a way to keep Brian Steele out of jail. But in a totally boss-ass move, Brian Steele says, well, then can I at least be cellmates with my client so we can work all weekend on the case? So he's like, yeah, fucking throw me in jail. I'm just going to sit in there with Young Thug, and we're just going to make an even better case. But it's more than that. And when I looked through the charges, I mean, I read the indictment and it's a whopper. I can't help but question if we're not compounding. Now, what I'm going to talk about in this series of videos upcoming, this is just the teaser, but what I am going to talk about is Georgia has some RICO laws that I think are super duper loosey-goosey. So I'm being hyperbolic, but I feel like seriously, you could jaywalk in Georgia and they'd be like, that's Rico. Rico gets added onto everything. And Young Thug may be guilty of Rico charges. In addition to the gun and the drug and everything else he's been accused of, maybe he is. But I also feel like, is this one of those times where we're adding on because we want to hit it out of the park and we want this guy that we perceive to be bad to go away for a very, very long time? I'm questioning that. I'm not sure that the DA and the judge, I'm not sure if they're doing right by this guy. And in the indictments, it says that a lot of the evidence against him are the things like the lyrics of his songs and the clothing that he wears, like the logos and stuff on the clothing and the social media posts. So they're saying that that's an admission or a predetermination of them going to commit these crimes. White lady on the outside looking in. But there's always been that case against rap where their lyrics are detailing violent acts. And that's my problem, is I feel like some of these charges or some of the evidence against him is because of his artistic creativity. And I'm not some bleeding heart that's thinking, oh, this poor guy, he grew up in a tough neighborhood, he's had a tough life, let's take it easy on him. No, if he fucking did the crimes, throw his ass in jail. But we live in a world where you deserve a fair trial. And this isn't some little backward ass podunk courthouse. This is Fulton County. This is the biggest county in one of the largest cities in America. This judge is a superior court judge. These are people who know the law, who know what they're doing, and they're still messing this up to the nth degree. And I'm gonna dig into this one because I got opinions.